Welcome back in, randos.
Hey, hello, hi.
We welcome you back to the Fandom at Random podcast. I am Ed. That is Brian. Unless, Brian, you hearing any of the voices today?
Yeah. Somebody keeps calling me Mark, and it's driving me up the fucking wall.
Wow, what a story, Mark.
Hello, Mark. What a story.
But welcome into Fandom at Random, the podcast that keeps all fandoms at random. And today we have a random reaction to Marvel, the MCU's latest foray on Disney Plus on the silver screen, Moonknight.
One of the more obscure characters.
Yeah. And I mean, you and I don't know about you, I knew next to nothing about Moonknight.
Yeah, I have to turn in my fandom card right now because between Halo and now Moonknight, I haven't known shit about the backgrounds of anything. But Moonknight, I literally know zero about that character. I saw him at a cosplay once at one of the cons we went to.
Yeah, and this was, I think that's kind of the definition of what made this exciting to me.
Yeah.
So when you look at the other MCU shows that we've gotten so far, we've gotten WandaVision with obviously Scarlet Witch and Vision. We've gotten Hawkeye. We've gotten Falcon and the Winter Soldier. But these have all been established characters we've already seen in the MCU.
Yeah, even Hawkeye started out like a little obscure, but built it up fairly quickly.
Yeah, especially after Endgame.
Yeah.
But now we're getting Moonknight, a character that they are launching in the Disney Plus TV show realm. So I was excited, and I went into this blind, as did you, and we're going to react to episode 1. And fair warning, there is going to be spoilers, randos. So if you have not seen episode 1 of Moonknight, turn this off, come back after you've seen it.
Yeah, not that there's much to spoil. I mean, we'll talk about it.
Yeah, we're gonna get into it. But I do want to mention, dude, unfortunately, we had yet another fandom
fatality.
Actress Estelle Harris passed away at the age of 93 from natural causes. So, unfortunately, you may know Estelle Harris. She actually played the same first name, Estelle Costanza, which was George Costanza's mother in Seinfeld. And she played that and reprised that role many times over the years. And she was beloved for it. She was perfect as George's mother.
I wasn't a Seinfeld fan, but yeah.
Well, were you a Toy Story fan?
Yes.
She was also the voice of Mrs. Potato Head.
Mrs. Potato Head?
In all of the Toy Story films.
Oh, shit.
She had a bunch of other roles as well, but, I mean, she's most known for George Costanza's mother.
Yeah.
So, it's a bummer.
Yeah,
it's a big loss, but, okay. We going to get into it, Brian? It's Moonknight time.
Let's do it, Mark.
All right. So we're going to get into Moonknight, a.k.a. Marvel's Memento. I kind of feel like they pulled a Christopher Nolan.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Going into this series, like Christopher Nolan's original Memento film, dealing with a lot of memory loss and weird things going on, which we get in this.
Yeah.
So this was created by Jeremy Slater, and it stars Oscar Isaac. And keyword is stars, because that's one thing that hooked me going into this. Oscar Isaac is a great actor.
Yeah, and usually they get TV actors for roles like this, where I feel Oscar Isaac is mainly a movie actor.
And that's just, we're witnessing the power of Disney and Marvel Universe and the MCU now.
Right.
We've seen it with the Eternals pulling in some heavy hitters like Angelina Jolie, among others.
Unfortunately, that didn't work as well as this one did.
It did not.
Yeah.
But we're seeing that more and more with the MCU. They're pulling in A-list talent, because A-list talent sees what these films and these properties are doing.
Yeah.
And you know for a fact that they are going to shoehorn. Moonknight is going to be showing up in some of the MCU films.
I was going to say, Disney is obviously planning TV movie crossover with, spoiler for No Way Home, Daredevil crossing over into that universe and everything else. It's very clear that they're planning on mixing everything together. So having Oscar Isaac was a good move.
So Oscar Isaac plays Stephen Grant. as well as others.
Yeah. One other for now.
Yeah, that we know of. So he plays Stephen Grant, which is a very passive, kind of nerdy, nervous English
gift shopist.
Yeah, so he works at a museum, a gift shop, and you can tell he's a total nerd when it comes to Egyptian culture, which I can relate with that. I think like the Egyptian, like all the different gods, and I think it's fascinating.
Yeah, I think the pyramids and the math and everything else, the shit they did, aliens for sure.
Oh yeah,
yeah. But I love ancient Egypt, which is kind of another thing that drew me to this show once I actually started watching it. Yeah.
So it follows him portraying this character, and then not before too long, come to find out, he also plays another character of Mark Spector. And I found it an interesting interview when Oscar Isaac was getting into this role. He ended up reading a lot of books and studying. I want to say, I think it's the book A Beautiful Mind. And it's based on dissociative identity disorder.
Sorry, I itched my notes.
All right.
Speaking
live
of disorders, I'm really curious for them to dig into that too. I hope they really explore the mental illness side of this show, because that's what it is. It's a mental illness, you know.
And we're going to kind of get into how they played into that disorder, which people deal with on a daily basis. But let's get right into, it's mainly the two people to focus on in this episode, at least acting-wise, are Oscar Isaac and then Ethan Hawke.
Could you even remember anybody else in the episode besides them?
Everybody else was kind of a bit player.
Yeah, they're carrying the show for now.
But I mean, Oscar Isaac, Ethan Hawke is Arthur Harrow. So let's talk about the episode itself. It's called The Goldfish Problem, which was fitting by the end. But
yes,
it starts out with the character of Stephen Grant. Again, we see him in the museum and then going back home.
Yeah.
And you don't really understand fully what's going on, because it starts out with his leg is chained up.
Right, yeah.
He has sand all around his bed.
Blue tape on his door jamb.
Yeah, multiple latches.
Yep.
And that's when you realize, come to find out, that he doesn't trust himself when he falls asleep.
Right.
He thinks there could be shit going on.
He's a werewolf.
You're the werewolf.
You're the werewolf. Fucking werewolf.
But it's very interesting to kind of see that and kind of delve into, because we haven't really dealt with too many people or hero characters in the MCU that have blatantly dealt with like mental issues.
Yeah, no, more like PTSD and hearing problems, Hawkeye. But no, overall, nothing comes to mind where you have severe mental disorders. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is where it kind of jumps in, and I don't want to do a full recap of the episode.
Right.
Let's just kind of.
Plus, a lot of
you've already seen it. Let's talk about things that jumped out to us.
Yeah. First off, Oscar Isaac, acting amazing. We know that already. But they did a great job right off the bat with the makeup, the subtle makeup, to look like he's kind of sickly and tired, and
bags
you can
under
tell
the eyes.
He's been battling something for a while. And that little detail to me really kind of drove home we're dealing with a very flawed character, and I wanted to know more about it.
Yeah, and I mean, flaw is kind of the key word of his character. I mean, he's just. What do you think about the accent?
Yeah, I mean, is it supposed to be bad?
Yes,
I thought so. So at first I'm like, holy shit, and then I'm like, well, it would make sense if it's supposed to be bad.
Yeah, it's that kind of Cockney kind of English accent, and one of the reasons he wanted to make this accent not be, it's still somewhat believable.
Yeah.
But he changes the whole pitch and tone of his voice to the point that it's like, all right, you're blatantly doing that. But he did that in a way because Stephen Grant isn't fully the character. He also plays the character of Mark with the English accent, or American accent.
Yeah.
And Oscar Isaac was saying because of that, and because of Stephen not being, almost his entire background in life kind of made up, he didn't want the English accent to be like perfect and come off spot on.
Which makes sense.
So he kind of made it like quirky.
Yeah, and that's why we love Oscar Isaac. But yeah, I think he really hit the nail on the head doing the accent the way he did. And we get a comment later from one of the side characters we haven't met yet. Like, what is with that accent, you know?
But it's cool to see, like,
it is, yeah.
You know, he goes to the museum, and then he has the woman come up and say, "Hey, we still on for Friday night for the date?"
Yeah.
And he has no idea what she's talking about. And
steak restaurant, and he's actually a vegan, so you know something's fucking up.
Yeah, and it's very cool how throughout this episode, it's, again, I mentioned Christopher Nolan's Memento, where it's not really foreshadowing, but you're getting pieces of information as Steven is.
Yeah.
Because Mark has been making those decisions for him.
Yeah, because
and you're only getting half of it.
Somebody that likes answers and likes knowing what's going on and wants things tied up in a bow by the end of every episode, it's not for you. And because, like you said, we're finding out from the side of somebody who's missing chunks of their day.
Yeah, the best way to describe the show is almost like if you're going to see a stand-up comic, but then you're not getting any of the setup, you're only getting punchlines.
Yeah, pretty much.
You know, that was this episode to a T, and I loved it.
Yeah,
I
it
thought
kept me on my toes, kept me wanting to find out what happens next. What else did he miss? What else could pop up? You know what I mean?
So it progresses. The episode goes on. You see Steven still living his kind of crappy life. And then he goes to sleep, finally passes out, and wakes up in a field.
Yeah.
And it is hilarious. You see his jaw looks pretty much broken.
That's where one part where I was like, what the fuck? So, I have no idea about Moonknight. I know they call him Marvel's Batman. I have no idea if he has healing abilities or if he popped it in himself, but it was weird. And I was like, okay.
He kind of did like a...
And even he was like, oh, that was weird.
Yeah.
So...
my assumption is it was dislocated. He popped it back into place.
Guess, yeah. And now we're in the full ride where the identities are crossing over because he starts hearing voices. Mark's voice. You know, oh, hello, Mark.
Oh, hi, Mark.
Hi, Mark.
So, one of my favorite parts, too, is when he first wakes up, and then you see the guy out the window, and he starts waving to him, and then he points, and he's got the gun, and he starts shooting. He's like, no,
and fucking takes off. That was pretty good. This is where the episode, honestly, it gripped me from the beginning, but this is where I was like, okay, I'm invested. I need to see what goes down now.
Yeah, so he ends up running back into town, and you see, like, the whole town is like a cult.
Pretty much.
All based around this character of Arthur Harrow, played by Ethan Hawke.
Ethan Hawke is so slept on, dude. He's got another horror movie coming out called The Black Phone. He is just hitting it. The older he gets, the better he gets.
Yeah, and I thought he did a great job of this. Like, I like that they're not going with the classic villain who is there for, like, you know, over the top, like, eccentric, there for power.
Yeah.
This guy is like
twirling.
Like, this guy is calm, collected, but also in a way just terrifying.
Yeah, he's scary Gandhi, kind of.
Yeah, I mean, and he's coming off as a cult leader.
Who judges people.
Yeah, who judges people. Again, Arthur Harrow is the name of the character, and he is associated with the Egyptian god Ammit. Who essentially sees Moonknight as an adversary. So now you're kind of seeing that, and they mention that, you know, that there are avatars currently on the world.
Like the blue people, right, yeah. Or, so you mean the anime.
I love that joke.
They dropped both of them, and I was about it.
Yeah, I love that joke. But there are avatars in this MCU world that can encompass these Egyptian gods, that they can kind of work through them, use their powers, so on and so on. Hence how you also get Moonknight.
I kind of like how they refer to Ammit as like the world's first boogeyman too. As a horror fan, I was like, okay, I'm interested.
And there were some horror themes in this.
Yeah, and it got bloody too. Yeah. I didn't expect that, and we all know I love blood, gore, action, violence, so I was definitely looking forward to that.
Yeah, this was a little bit of a step up for the MCU when it came to the quasi-horror, quasi-violence.
Yeah. Especially when we see, well, actually, you were just going to get into the avatar from Moonknight, so we can talk about that, I guess.
Yeah, so we get that cool scene with Ethan Hawke's character, and then the whole, he tells everyone to kneel, and he's like, oh shit,
Oh, balls. And he gets down, yeah.
and he like won't give him the scarab. Well, he can't.
No, yeah, that was
physically
great.
can't do it.
Yeah.
And I love like when.
And even in that moment, Ethan Hawke looks terrifying instead of embarrassed.
Yeah.
Because he's like, I swear to God, if you don't give me that fucking scarab,
And I love after, Steven tries walking away with it. He gets surrounded by a group of the cultists, like the bodyguards.
Yep.
They're about to get it out of his hand. You see his eyes start to roll and just like shutter frame. And then all of a sudden, his eyes like go wide again. He looks around. His hands are covered in blood, and all of the dudes are dead around him.
Completely.
And like,
which that's no Batman. If he kills motherfuckers, he's worse than Batman. So yeah.
well, he's Thomas Wayne Batman.
Yes, true. Now I like this, but at the same time, when I will talk about the end of the episode, I think it was more to save the CGI and the money. So I'll talk about it more later. But yeah. It was a cool scene.
So he kills them. He goes on the run. He ends up hopping in the car, in the donut car. So again, they're keeping comedic
and what song
too.
was playing?
Wake me up.
Yeah, wake me up. It was perfect. It fit the theme of the show and the scene very well.
And you see it with again the Egyptian god continually talking to Steven's character, kind of saying, hey, let him take the body back over.
Can we just stop for a minute? What's with the voice? Everything about this episode made me feel good about the show, except for the fucking voice talking to him.
Yeah.
It sounded like Shrek with bass.
Yeah?
It sounded weird to me. It sounded goofy. I don't know. I guess as we get to know Moonknight better and that side of him, maybe it'll make sense. But for right now, the voice just felt really off from the rest of the episode.
Yeah, so it's the Egyptian moon god Khonshu.
And he sounds goofy.
Yeah, well,
An Egyptian god should sound terrifying.
Yeah, I wasn't a huge fan of the voiceover of Khonshu.
Khonshu. Okay, let me remember that. I was almost kind of quasi getting like Venom vibes. Yeah, exactly.
Eddie.
Yeah. Mark, what are you doing, Mark?
Yeah. So I a little bit got that. I'm glad to see you agree with me, but kind of goofy. I kind of wish instead they would have just used Oscar Isaac's Mark voice.
Except maybe a little deeper. Like, he could hire his voice for the British accent, bring it a little lower for the Moonknight voice. But it really just took me out of the scene a little bit. And it's a minor complaint, but at the same time, if it happens a lot in further episodes, it might be distracting.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how much we get it. I would much rather them give the reins to Mark.
Yes.
And, Mark is the polar opposite of Steven. Mark is brutal.
Yeah.
Mark will flat out just kill people.
Right.
So I'm really curious to see more of that. But I loved, how did you feel about that whole car chase scene?
It was good.
It was fantastic.
When we were getting the cuts back and forth between blackouts, that's when it really got cool. And then he's driving the car backwards and he's like, oh, shit, I'm backwards. Oscar Isaac just delivered it so well.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the car chase scene. I heard some people say it was goofy. I thought it was perfect.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like we're going to be getting pretty dark in this show, so comedic moments and action scenes that are fun are going to be key, I think. And I'm okay with it, yeah.
So, and it was cool after all that shit happened, then he wakes up in his bed.
Right.
And he thinks it's a dream.
Oh, it's just a dream. And then he notices the goldfish problem.
The goldfish has two fins. He's like, what is going on with this goldfish?
But we never get an explanation at what happened to his goldfish, no?
We're assuming it died or got killed because I'm guessing, continually moving the whole tank.
Yep.
That's my assumption.
And they got a new goldfish with two fins?
Yeah, instead of the one.
All right. Okay, yeah, that would make sense based on what the store owner said. All right.
But he ends up finding that what looks to be a burner phone.
Yeah. With Layla.
Yeah, and then calling Layla, and Layla's like, I thought you were dead. This and that. He's like, oh, I'm sorry, what? What? Who's this, mate?
Who's this, mate?
I don't know why I went Australian there for a minute,
Yeah.
but
I'm sorry. Who's this? Do you have any tea and crumpets?
and she ends up hanging up on him, but it's really interesting as this continually unfolds. You're realizing that he has another complete life.
Yeah.
Outside of what we're seeing is Steven.
Yeah, apparently one with Layla, and then there was one other number in there. I forget what the name was, but not important right now.
And that was kind of sad too when he went to his date.
Yeah.
And he ends up
that was Oscar Isaac can be a badass, but at the same time he can play such a nerd with like his weird shoes and flood pants and look like a sad lonely boy at the dinner. I was like, "Oh, that's sad."
Yeah, and she's like, "Yeah, you're 2 days late. Good luck with that."
No. It's not Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can just see like the defeat on his face when he
Right.
realizes like, "Oh shit, like I'm not in control of like my mental capacity or well-being." Like, and he just I like what he's like, what kind of cut of steak do you want? Oh, yeah, the good one. Yeah,
The good
best
one, yeah. Just give me something right now. Just give me a win. It's good that they didn't go into his background. We didn't see anything leading up, how he got the mental illness, how he got into this world. We pick right up where he left off, and moments like that are heavier because, like you said, we're seeing it from his perspective.
Well, that's why I'm convinced too. Like, you notice every time he calls his mom,
yeah,
he always says, later, Gator at the end, and she never answers.
I had that same thought. I'm like, something weird is going on there.
I don't think his mom exists.
Probably not. Either that, she's dead. I mean, his mom exists. He had to be born.
Yeah, but maybe Mark has a mother.
Yeah, right.
Steven could be a completely just different personality.
Oh, dude, that's going to be such a depressing scene if that comes up.
It probably is going to. That's my assumption.
Because I was thinking the same thing. I know something's going on there, but thinking forward, when we hit that scene, it's going to be hard. Yeah.
So then we get to the kind of the culmination of this episode. They're back in the museum, and Ethan Hawke's character, Arthur Harrow, has now followed him back to the museum because Steven was stupid enough to tell him that he worked at that museum. And he's like, even Arthur Harrow's like, wow, he's like, you actually really do work
I didn't
here.
even put that together. Like he told the big bad judgmental villain that I work at a museum. And yeah, when he shows up, he's like, holy shit, you really do work here. Like,
and come to find out, this guy is like very well connected, Arthur Harrow. He's got everybody in his pocket.
It's Hydra on a smaller level, I would imagine.
In a way.
Yeah.
It's Egyptian Hydra.
Egyptian Hydra.
Oh, shit.
Hail Harrow. And that was a cool scene. You know, like you said, it showed the power that Harrow has in at least that little
with judging people.
piece of the country. And then whatever's going on with that power, it's obviously not, what it seems to be. And then we get to this cool little horror scene coming up.
Well, we kind of skipped over too. We had a couple other quasi-horror scenes with, again, the god Khonshu and Steven having visions of him all throughout in his apartment. Then he runs out, and then he sees him like in the elevator.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, the scene where we actually see that god with like the Deathbird head from Elden Ring. Did you notice that?
Yeah, that's Khonshu.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, so like slowly coming towards him, and he's like, ah! And then it's actually a little old lady getting on the elevator.
And he's just in the corner like, what the fuck, my life?
I'm sorry, I dropped my contact lens.
That was like the shadow at the end of the hall. That was definitely horror-esque, and I loved it.
Yeah,
and
there's been horror elements in this.
Yeah, it was cool. And I was so excited to see him in the Moonknight uniform and the fighting, and then we get that bathroom scene.
So Harrow ends up summoning an Anubis-associated jackal monster. So it's a jackal that is under the god Anubis, which apparently Harrow also has ties to. So this guy seems very well connected within the Egyptian lore and magical lore, and Moonknight, I think, kind of stands on his own a little bit, which makes sense. But he pretty much tells Steven, he's like, hey, either give this to me or this jackal's going to rip you apart. Mm-hmm. You know, Steven ends up making a run for it, barricades himself in a bathroom surrounded by mirrors, and that's when him and Mark finally have that one-on-one chat.
Even like Mark in the mirror shaking his head in the dark with the strobing lights on the back, even that was kind of like, okay, this is a little creepy. Let out
Mirror's
the monster.
a creeper anyway, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it was building up. He's like, no, yes, no. And then we finally see him embrace the night of Moon.
Yeah, and it was such a cool scene because Steven finally gives in. Mark is like, unless you give me control right now, we are going to die.
Yeah.
And Steven finally says, okay, gives himself up to Mark, and the door gets beaten down. Well, it's still, Steven has his eyes closed, and you're like, oh shit, he just got killed.
Yeah.
And then you see like a sink get like tossed out and smashed, and then you see the jackal just get tossed, and it's dead.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. No. You see the sink get thrown out, then you hear like punching, then it cuts in, and you finally get to see Moonknight in all his glory. Awesome white costume with the glowing white eyes.
The look
just
is
literally
so good.
Literally pummeling the shit out of this jackal. So at this point, you're like, okay, he has superhuman powers.
Right.
You know, you're assuming he must have superhuman endurance, strength. I don't know. At least loosely from the comics.
Aliens.
I know that Moonknight's strength does come from the moon, and I believe it is enhanced like under a full moon.
Wait, Moon Knight's strength comes from the moon?
Actually,
holy shit! I'm sorry, I had to.
Wow! Who would have thought?
Yeah. Anyway, continue.
Dick.
I'm sorry. And the full moon means he's stronger.
Guess what Captain Planet's powers come from? The planet.
Right? Okay. And back on track.
All right, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he beats the living shit out of the jackal, ends up killing it, then he does the slow turn to the camera and looks badass, and that's where the episode ends.
That's where it cuts. Now, here's where my problem is, right? The CGI was fucking hard. Sorry, that's not fair. It wasn't hard. We've seen worse, for sure.
On the jackal?
On the jackal and Moon Knight. And
I didn't think the Moon Knight CGI looked too bad.
Maybe it's just because his look is so good. Like, I expected it to come through on screen.
Are you sure that was
powerful.
Are you sure that was CGI too? I thought
yeah,
he was in
his
costume.
Cape. The costume itself might have been live action, but the cape was CGI. You could tell for sure, and the jackal.
So you know what I was getting vibes from seeing some of the CGI and the finally the costume and some of the other shit we've seen is Spawn.
Yeah,
I kind of got Spawn vibes, but like in a good way.
Yeah,
like,
that's true.
I love Spawn, like, and even like some of like the designs and shit I've seen.
Yeah,
even with like the jackal and other shit, I'm like, oh shit, like.
Don't get me wrong.
Spawn vibes.
And this is a minor complaint because honestly, in any other show, it probably would have passed and I would have been fine. But everything was so good in this episode. When I saw the CGI, I was just like, whoa, they could have definitely amped it up. Maybe spent another day or two on it. I don't know. That is just me.
Yeah, well, we'll have to wait and see. Reserve judgment. But I mean, out of all of the MCU shows we've had so far, this, in my opinion, may be the strongest opening episode. I think, unlike you, I loved WandaVision a lot.
Yeah, and I liked it. I didn't love it, but I liked it.
But even WandaVision's opening episode, it had you were really just kind of sitting there scratching your head, like, what the fuck is going on?
Because I'm trying to think back to like Punisher, Daredevil.
I forgot to mention Loki too.
Iron Fist.
We skipped over Loki earlier.
I know,
obviously, we've had that as well, but which was excellent.
I'd say you're right. Probably the strongest opener. Yeah,
but I'm talking purely from like drawing me in, like holy shit, like, and I think maybe that is a byproduct of we're finally getting like a new character.
Yeah,
and it's a flawed character. and it's a character that I want to know more about.
I kind of want to know what the original Moon Knight looks like. Hold on. Yeah,
He looks similar to that.
He does.
He also has his like Moon Knight like dress up, like where he's like in like a white suit, which I think we're getting that in this.
Oh,
I think they released that
one.
Yeah, so
Right.
I don't know what the deal is with that.
Just because I couldn't see, when did he come out? The 80s?
I'm not sure.
Anyway,
like I said, I know next to nothing about
neither.
Moon Knight.
But
I
yeah,
went to
he
this
looks
blind.
badass. He looks like a warrior, dressed in white, kind of like a mummy, like Egyptian.
Yeah.
And yeah, he looks amazing. And I think you're right where this first episode made me want more right away, unlike any other MCU show.
And I definitely got some Batman vibes. I think once we get and see him more acting as Moon Knight,
Yeah.
especially where he just blatantly beats the shit out of people and does this like, almost, but he kills. It actually almost reminds me, even in costume, just the color is different from Azrael.
Yeah,
From like
definitely.
from the Batman universe.
Yeah, the Knight from the Batman universe.
His costume's more black and red, but Moon Knight obviously being all white.
And now that you say it, that was definitely in the back. Because I love Azrael. I only know a little bit about him from the video game, but I've always been interested in his character, and I was definitely thinking that throughout the episode.
He's pretty much, Batman if Batman would kill.
Yes. Yep.
And this is what we're getting with Moon Knight. It's blatantly obvious he is not afraid to kill.
Yeah, right?
And I'm hoping they don't like step away from that, or all of a sudden he has more of a moral code. Like,
Yeah. Because now we're getting Steven mixed in.
Steven!
Oh, I don't want you to kill. I don't want you to kill. And then Mark is going to be like, well, I want to kill. I want to kill. And then he won't kill anymore. It's a formula as old as time, but hopefully we don't get that.
Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
No, seriously, they have, if they stop the killing, at least like keep the brutal beatings.
I think they will. I'm hoping they do. What I'm actually hoping for now in the next episode or the next coming episodes is to take a note out of Daredevil. Mm-hmm. And now that we've seen the Moon Knight reveal, give us like, the whole like blanking out and then blanking back in was fun.
Yeah.
In the first episode, I want to see the action now.
Exactly.
I want to see Mark, aka Moon Knight, just beating the living shit out of bad guys.
Yeah. I think it was a good call for the first episode. Leaves us wondering and also really invests us into the flawed perspective of Steven. But you're right. We need to see the action. We need to see the violence. And that's what's going to keep me on board.
I also looked it up beforehand. Time frame wise, this, I believe, takes place in 2025.
Really?
When it comes to like the MCU placement in the universe. So Spider-Man No Way Home took place in, I believe, late 2024.
Okay.
As did Hawkeye. Those two things happened roughly the same time. So I think this is happening right after those take place.
Gotcha.
So I'm curious to see how they're going to weave this into the MCU and which character, if any, they decide to bring in. But to me, at least similarity-wise, it'd be cool to see like Matt Murdock show up as Daredevil.
Definitely.
And again, I don't know much about Moon
But they're
Knight.
also in London, which, if I'm not mistaken, there's not a lot of MCU characters overseas right now.
Are they in London?
Yeah.
You sure about that?
Yeah. London is where his gift shop is. And because I remember, he's like, I just want to go back to London. London.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
Not only that, I know we've seen the blip be tied into a ton of MCU shit already. It's maybe a little overdone, but if there's one character I would like to see affected by that, it's him. Can you imagine having a 5-year blackout with a character who already has blackouts, and how that would just
Well, this is post-blip,
affect
though.
him?
This is post-blip based on the timing.
Yeah.
This is a couple years post-blip.
What, before the blip?
After.
Yeah, after.
Because it's 2025.
Yeah, so if we could see even like a flashback of maybe how that affected him or how it ties into his story a little bit, I thought that would be cool. I don't know. Minor detail, but
How cool would it be if like the blip caused
and that's where I was
like,
getting
these
at.
issues
I didn't
or-
want to kind of jump to that yet, but what if it affects his brain somehow, and that's where it kind of comes from, you know?
But there's a lot of different ways they can go. They've hooked me.
Yes.
On the first episode, I'm gonna keep watching this. Unlike the Halo TV series, episode 2 was so bad.
Excuse you. I am happy with the Halo No, I'm just kidding. It's fucking terrible. I like the first episode, but no.
Yeah, episode 2 is really bad.
But Oscar Isaac can draw me into anything. Literally, ever since I've seen him in Ex Machina, I'll always jump on something for him. And I think he's going to be great in this. And what they've set up as far as the basis for the show really has potential.
All right. Well, yeah. I mean, if you were gonna give it should we tentatively rank it? Episode 1,
Yeah, why not?
random ranking 0 out of 10. What would
Might
you give
as
it?
well, just to give people an idea.
No, I'll go first this time.
Okay.
I think you went first
Yeah.
last time. I'm gonna give it a. I'm gonna say like an 8.5 out of 10.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was really, really happy with it. There were a couple things like you mentioned. CGI might have been a little dodgy at certain parts. Wasn't crazy about Khonshu's voice. Other than that, I did enjoy it a lot, and I think it's got a lot of potential.
Yeah, because I'm thinking of like TV universes, MCU universes, and those minor complaints for me didn't take much off of it. I'm at a 9 out of 10.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
All right, randos.
Check it out.
Well, we appreciate you checking out our random reaction. We will be back next week with a lot more fun stuff.
Another random topic, I guess you could say.
Yeah, we keep it random. If there's any random topics you want us to cover, let us know. Fandom@random.com. Follow, like, listen. You know what to do.
Click that bell.
But we'll be back. Later, randos.